Good morning, good afternoon, depending on what part of the globe you guys are at. How's everybody doing today? Great to see all of you here. So there's one factor when you are manifesting something. So we use the word success and failure. So what determines success, meaning that you manifest and get what you want, or what determines failure, right, where you don't get what you want, right? And it really comes down to one key point that we must realize, that this is the real mindset to get what you want. It's how you look at the thing that you're manifesting. It's how you look at your current situation. It's your perception, your perspective. So let me show you what I mean by that. You hear a lot when they say, hey, you have to learn to ignore your three-dimensional world. The 3D. You got to ignore the 3D to get what you want. What does that actually mean when you hear ignore the 3D to get what you want? Well, what it means is that when you're in a certain situation in the three-dimensional world, your brain realizes that, hey, this is happening now. You have a couple options. Can I change it? Can I not change it? Usually if it's happening to you in the present moment, you can't change it, because if you could change it, it wouldn't be happening, right? For example, if you're in a tough situation, like financially, or something's going on in your current reality, people, chaos, things, bills piling up, car breaking down, situations of that sort, while it's happening to you now in the moment, you can't change it, right? Because you're in it. So your brain says, hey, let's figure the best way to deal with this. And then you try to focus on the problem at hand. That's not how you're going to manifest it to what you want. So here's what you got to do. You have to have imagination opposite of what's happening in the moment. Let me give you an example. So you're in that situation where everything is chaos, car breaking down, all this stuff. You are aware it's happening, right? But here's the secret now. In your imagination now, you paint a different picture. You see a different reality. So you have two realities going on. One where it's happening, one in the mental. What happens? If you paint a different reality while it's happening in the physical, that's what you call ignoring your 3D reality. That will manifest your destiny and your desires. So in other words, while you're facing the problem or the situation in that moment, if you're imagining a different situation simultaneously, like you're saying, you know what, I can see things get better, I can see this new, I can see more finances, I can see this, I can see this, I can see that. In the imagination, what you're doing, you're having a tug of war with reality now. Now you're fighting two realities, okay? But you're not aware of it. You don't know what's happening, but I'm dive deeper and show you what's happening. What's happening now, your subconscious mind is battling your current three-dimensional world. So what happens, and by the way, I gotta let you know something before I'm just gonna give it away. The subconscious mind, when it comes to battling the three-dimensional world, when you're in a situation like that and you're thinking and you're changing your perspective to what you want versus what's happening, it is undefeated. It never lost. So, did you catch that? What I'm saying to you is, if you're in your three-dimensional reality, it's not what you want, and you are perceiving another reality in your imagination, and you are aware that your 3D reality is not what you want, but yet you're still focusing on what you want in the mental. The mental will override the current 3D and replace it. If you do it that way, the subconscious is undefeated. It means you will get your reality. So why doesn't it work? Why doesn't it happen? Because most people don't do it because they don't understand or recognize this to be a truth. What majority of people do when they're facing a situation in the 3D, they don't have time to think about positive stuff or try to figure out the good stuff. They are more in fight or flight. So the ones who are high manifestors, the ones who know the game, they recognize this. So when they're in the same situation, their brain is going to kick in with fight or flight. but they are going to be aware that they're in this situation, and they're going to force themselves to think about what they want at first. They're going to initiate the response, and that's the difference. It's discipline, it's awareness. So once someone becomes aware of what's happening in their 3D and they change their perception of it, they see the different outcome in the mental, and they do it over and over, they are creating what they call a new map of reality. All of us have maps of reality inside of our consciousness. We come here with two maps of reality. We have one in our conscious mind, and we have one in our subconscious mind. The map of reality in our conscious mind is derived through our sight, see, smell, touch, and our awareness. The map in our subconscious mind, that's the one that you can adjust and change, and that's the one that makes and creates our reality. The map of reality in our conscious mind is the one we see from our subconscious, and we give it a new meaning. So when you do this, you change the map of reality in your subconscious, because in your unconscious mind, that is what creates and generates a physical reality. So that's what it means when you hear other teachers and everybody saying you have to ignore the 3D. That's what it means. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean to ignore your problems, to let them pile up on you. That's not what it means. It means you are aware of your problems. You know they are there, but you are taking a different approach. You're going somewhere in the mental where you can see the end results of your problem, the end goal, the solution. When you do that unknowingly, most people don't know, but now you know, you will shift. That mental reality will replace your current physical reality. Now you know, and now you see. That is the number one factor that most people overlook on their journey. And the reason they overlook it, I'll state it again, it's because of how their mind sees logic. Their mind sees this thing and it's trying to figure out in the moment. All you just have to do is become aware. Hey, I'm in a problem. Okay, what do I want? I want a solution. I don't know how to fix this, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go into my imagination and imagine the best scenario of this problem being fixed, what it looks like in the end. That's my perception. I'm changing my reality there. Things start to turn into my favor, and that's how it works. And that's science, people. That's quantum physics. That's how quantum mechanics works. People, that's how reality works in general. But listen, if you're listening to this, right? But did you pick up something very important, what I said through this whole lecture here? What's something important? Let's see. Let's deep dive. What's the most important thing you picked up from this? I'll say it for you. So if I'm listening to myself and I'm watching this, there's something I definitely pick up. And I'll say, you know what? This guy just said something very powerful. This guy just told me that so if I'm in a physical reality and there's problems going on, and he said if I think of something in my imagination, it changes my physical reality. So what this guy is actually saying is that imagination becomes physical reality. So the real world is imagination. Because if he's telling me to imagine it and my imagination is going to replace it, everything must come from the mental. So in actual, the physical reality is the fake world, and the imagination is the real world. That's how I would interpret it. That's how I would get it. Because that's what it's saying. I'm being smart. I'm analyzing. I'm saying, wait a minute. Okay, because the only way an imagination could overturn a physical reality is if physical reality came from imagination. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. So if he's telling me this, and then I'm going to the physics now, so I'm going into science, I'm saying, okay, let's back up what this guy's saying scientifically. So technically, he's correct. Physical reality is non-material, it's energy. So energy can transform, it can change shape, it's transparent. So okay, and that technically makes sense now. And also because the brain doesn't know the difference between what is real or imagined, that also makes sense now. So what's happening is, so our reality is being replaced by our consciousness and by what we think and feel, and our subconscious, because it's illogical, it shifts it in and it becomes our current state. Wow, that is brilliant. That's how I would interpret. That's how I interpret it. And that's what so now you know what I do when I get that information? I spend more time building my map of reality in my imagination, in my thoughts, in my feelings. So I start to get really good at practicing imagination, practicing feeling like what it is to have what I want. By the way, that's how I approach it, and that's how I won the lottery. By the way, I went that exact route. That's what came to me, and that's how I won the Florida Fantasy 5, bought my BMW E46 M3, and bada bing, bada bang, and kept doing it, and that's how the game works. So that's proof in itself right there, and that just solidifies it, and that's why I continue to do it. That's why I continue to teach it and put it out there so everybody else can get their desires manifest. But that's the real secret of all of this, is that everything that's happening in the 3D, if it's something I like, I accept it. If it's something I don't like that's happening in the 3D, if it's something I like, I accept it. If it's something I don't like in my mental, and I run that process over and over, and then eventually what happens, I start to see the shift. I start to see the signs that I'm changing. I see my synchronicities, I see other things coming, and before you know it, it pops right up on me like magic. Got it? So that's what you must do, and now you know the real meaning of ignoring the 3D. That's it. So we do a quick recap. Ignoring the 3D doesn't mean ignoring it, forgetting about it. Ignoring the 3D means acknowledging it's there, and then going in your mental world and changing a perception to something that you'd like to see better. That's it. You want it correct. You observe it, you don't react to it. It's observing, not absorbing. Only time you absorb is if you observe something that makes you feel good, moves you towards what you want, you take that in. If you observe something, it doesn't move you or take you to what you want, you don't take that in. Life will flow a lot easier. What you want, you don't take that in. Life will flow a lot easier when you start to approach that, and you'll see a bunch of changes positively in your reality. All right, that's it for today. Thank you. Happy manifesting.